Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mysterious Pals. My name is Chris, and this is episode 52. That means 52 weeks in a row.
Holy cow.
One whole year of episodes of us annoying the crap out of you and your friends and family. And we're here again in the episode 52 to take a look back.
Yeah, let's take a look back.
We're going to take a look back in one of those clip shows that we talked about hating last week. So ready? Roll that clip show. No, we're not going to do that to you. Now, we said we would not do that to you. We promised we wouldn't do that to you. A clip show is stupid.
Cop out.
And we're not a sitcom from the 90s. Although I wouldn't besmirch great shows.
There's some good ones.
But, I don't know, do new sitcoms do that? I don't know. I don't think like New Girl, which is one of the best sitcoms in the last 10 years or whatever. I don't think they do that.
I don't think they did.
Yeah. I don't think like any of those other big ones. Like I think Big Bang Bear was super big, and that
what was it?
Big Bang Theory was super big. And I don't
Big
think
Bang Bear.
Big Bang Berries.
Big Bang Bear.
Yeah, I don't think they ever did like a clip show or anything. So I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I only watched that through once, but that show went on for a long time.
11 or 12 seasons, I believe. It wasn't too bad. I watched a couple of them. I liked it. But also, I don't really watch stuff that often, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a big commitment. Anyway, this week, Jordan's driving the ship on the 52nd episode of the Mysterious Pals. 1 year better than 50 because it's higher. And it's a whole year.
More
year
is better.
Yeah. The higher number is better. I went to the zoo this week, and it was quite warm out, but the zoo is either really sad or really interesting.
Yeah.
When you lock up some animals and you see them like living in a small,
Sometimes
sometimes they're well done.
Yeah, they're being saved.
Yeah.
Because they were
hurt or whatever. But I saw a giant anteater. That thing was crazy. That's a gross looking animal.
Did you see the capybara?
No. I saw those at a different zoo last year. Those things are weird.
Yeah.
They're cool, but they're like a giant rodent.
They're giant rodents. Yeah, that's what they are. Yeah.
They poop squares or something like that. Is that what they do?
I don't know.
I think that's what they do. They poop squares.
Huh.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Thing. I don't know. I don't know what their intestines are doing. I'm not a biologist.
Do all rodents poop squares? No.
I could tell you they don't. The amount of mice poop I've seen around this house. Was it? What'd you do this week? Wombats poop cubes. I did see a wombat too, but a wombat and a capybara are two different things.
Wombat look like?
Capybara. It's a rodent. It kind of looks like a groundhog.
Okay, all right.
I'm pretty cute.
Yeah,
I want to murder that thing with a shovel like I usually do with groundhogs around here.
And they're cubes.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Way to be different.
Yeah, way to be different. Good job. Good on them. They said, biology said that poop should be cylinders, and they said no.
No, thank you, sir.
Yeah. So good on wombats. And they are our friends.
You think it's an evolutionary thing?
I don't know. Do you think humans will do that someday? I think it'd be kind of cool.
What in their body would have to cause that?
It's like one of those Play-Doh things. Pushes it together like a compactor.
Compacts it.
Yeah.
right before it comes out.
It's like maybe there's like a, what's that called? A conveyor belt in there. It's like one of those cartoons.
Like a junkyard where smashes up the car in a perfect cube.
And it plays that one song that's like bum 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 bum. It's like doom doom. The cartoons always did it doom doom. Or maybe Lucy's in there, Lucy and whatever her friend's name, Ethel, are in there. That famous episode of I Love Lucy. I did watch I Love Lucy because it was the only thing on at 11 o'clock at night on Nick at Night.
Did that go? I never watched it. I've seen it being
there's
parodied in multiple shows and movies.
There's I Love Lucy. There's Lucy Desi Comedy Hour, and then there's
was there a Lucille Ball show when she's
Lucille Ball? That's when it was in color.
Color, yeah.
Yeah, we're like, whoa, never mind. Now
go back to black and white. Go back to black and white.
No, I like that show.
Did that go on for a long time?
I don't know. as long as it was on Nick at Night. And then like, whatever.
A lot of shows seem to just like go on way longer than they need.
Well, especially back when they were doing it, there was nothing else on.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't watch any of those shows, but like a lot of the shows I've watched growing up are just like, okay, we could have just stopped.
I feel like when I was growing up,
milking it dry.
I feel like when I was growing up, though, I didn't really know what, like, about the idea of seasons and stuff. When I was younger, I was like, this is a new season. What does that even mean? Like, I couldn't tell when new episodes were happening because I didn't watch them at the prime time or whatever for certain shows.
Okay.
There's like cartoons. Like cartoons have seasons and stuff. I think they just went like from 1 to 1,000.
Yeah, I feel like I caught them pretty quick because like the summer they'd just be showing reruns.
But I wouldn't even know if it was I wouldn't even think of it like that.
Right.
I'm like, someone made 1,000 of these episodes. Just plop them out there.
Yeah, shows you saw us do like 22 episodes a season too. Now they're just like, here's 8. And to wait 2 years now.
Yeah. They did this thing on the new season of Outlander, which I've talked about in the show a lot of times.
We're going to talk about it today.
They did a new season finally after like 3 or 4 years, and it was like only 8 episodes. And like, we'll be back in October with another like 6 episodes. I'm like,
so I had this conversation earlier this week because my girlfriend was watching Emily in Paris. It's on Netflix. I guess a new season came out. It was only like 5 episodes, and she didn't know that. She was like pretty pissed because in Netflix you just binge watch stuff.
Yep. Whatever. Anyway,
right. Well, speaking of going on for too long,
and 52 episodes long.
That tangent to 50 episodes, and also speaking of going for too long, we're going to talk about somebody who
our friendship.
Have been,
Anyway, this is the last episode.
We've really been milking this whole thing for as long as we could. We're going to talk about somebody who may have lived for too long. This person may have been immortal. I mean, most likely not. But
let's jump right in.
Let's get into it. So I'm glad you brought up Outlander, Chris, because there's a character in the show. In that show, and also another show that I know you're a big fan of, Castlevania, the animated series.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
There's a character in both these shows by the name of Saint Germain.
Oh.
You remember this? Apparently, this character was in Outlander season 2.
Saint Germain.
Yes.
Ooh. See, the first 3 seasons of that show are very brutal. So I don't know.
All right.
Let me look it up.
In Castlevania, he's I think he pops up in season 2 or 3. He's this kind of guy. He knows magic because I don't know if anyone knows Castlevania. I only played a few of the games very early on when I was younger. I don't really know the whole plot line, but it deals with like Count Dracula being this evil guy. You're fighting him, part of the Belmonts, right? That whole like family. Anyways,
Belmont Legacy, yeah.
There's a character in the show called Saint Germain. He's like this mystical, magical guy.
Okay, I do know this guy. Yeah, French guy.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, in this thing, he was French. In Outlander.
Yeah. So we're talking about someone called Saint Germain, rather the Count of Saint Germain this week. Saint Germain was an enigmatic 18th century European man. He was named de Wonderman, or Wonderman, by Voltaire.
Oh, God. Voltaire.
I saw it. I was like, oh, yeah, here we go.
Out. I'm going to tear my hair out with this guy.
This little douche.
Yeah.
Pretentious guy.
Here we go.
So Saint Germain was supposedly multilingual, well versed in alchemy, music, philosophy, and politics, who's found his way into various European royal courts. And I always like the idea of alchemy. It's kind of a neat thing to me. Like,
neat
it's like this
fake thing, yeah.
Pseudoscience kind of thing, but the idea is like you can create something from something else. So like taking like a
coal and turning it into gold.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this is a very popular thing, and during around this time, what was a big part of like the Philosopher's Stone?
Yeah, always in there somewhere. I think the Philosopher's Stone is like a lot of different things because it's like in Harry Potter, but it's also in like Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah.
It's like,
it could be like liquid or actual stone, or it could be like
it's made from humans supposedly a lot of times.
Right.
There's a lot of other things that are like this is a Philosopher's Stone, but I think it's just like
I think it's just kind of like a
catch-all type of thing.
Yes, yeah. Like a base thing that just kind of uses for everything else. So this guy, the Count of Saint Germain, found his way into various royal European courts. How he went about doing this is unknown, but speculated he was part of some secret society, a time traveler, or even an immortal.
An immortal?
Immortal. It's an immortal.
Like an animal? Like, wait, mortal. Like
he's immortal.
Immortal.
Yeah.
Amoral.
Well, he's a
space mortal.
But you can't say a space mortal because it's a.
Is he immortal? He's not mortal.
Immortal, yes. Yeah.
Immortal. I-N or A-N?
Not immoral, immortal.
wait.
Here we go again. He's an immortal.
You
can't say he's a immortal because it's I. Yeah. Dot.
Okay. So he's an immortal.
He's an immortal. I'm pretty sure that's how you say it.
Yeah, you're right.
His immortality was so
He's
commonly...
not mortal.
Yeah. His immortality was so commonly believed he was dubbed the man that never dies because he's perpetually 45 years old.
45? Why
Yeah.
can't he be like 35? 25. That'd be
Right.
the king. There we go.
So one of the many obstacles of when dealing with someone who's considered immortal, it's impossible to pinpoint where they exactly originate from and what year they're actually born. That's the same case with this guy, the Count of Saint Germain. In fact, he gave himself the name the Count of Saint Germain.
He gave himself that name?
Gave himself that name.
Or someone else when we ended the episode, he gave himself that stupid name, and we're like, that's dumb. So he wasn't actually a count?
Maybe not.
What does a count do?
They're usually like some of nobility. They
Like own land.
Yeah.
A landowner.
Like a lot of land, yeah.
Yeah, like owns as castle.
Yeah.
And the king's like, hey, you're in charge of this region.
Right.
Okay.
You have to answer the king. And again, it depends on the country. Or the
I always want to be a count. A Count Chocula.
The Count of Chocolate Land.
Yeah. Count of chocolate cereal because I have so much of it. Most of it's stale, but it's so delicious.
Yeah, that season's come right around, man. Can't wait to stock up.
Yeah, then you're going to get diabetes from it because it's so sugary, but it's so delicious.
Just once a year.
Yeah, once a
For a
year.
couple of weeks,
It
a couple
takes
months.
you like 3 months to like. It's like when you eat something with too much salt.
Yeah.
You're like, what's something that's like it's like some things I've eaten before. It was like so salty, and you're like, it was like, oh, okay, I know what it is.
Whenever food a lot of time.
Yeah, but when we ate like 5 packets of ramen noodles, remember that one night?
Because we put
in college.
Yeah, because we put every packet.
Yeah, we put all the frizz packs
seasoning in with every packet.
And it was just like total sodium.
It was so bad.
Felt horrible for days. Yeah. But this is like when you eat Count Chocolate, it's like the opposite because you're not salty, you're sugary.
Sugar, yeah. You just crash.
Cool.
So he gave himself the name Saint Germain. You don't actually know his birth name or even where it even came from.
That was just a liar.
Yeah.
It's like Jules Verne all over again.
So even the fact that he claimed he was a count might be totally untrue. Like, I kind of give the guy credit though. He's just like, I'm just gonna be a count and tell people I'm a count.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Do they still have counts out there in the world?
Oh yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
But by saying you're a count, you're saying you're from nobility. You probably have money. You also have to like show that you like are from nobility and you have money. So like, people are like, yeah, I'm just a count. But like, dude, why are you wearing a potato sack?
Now they can do like a background check on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The internet's a hell of a thing.
So some people claim he came from Italy, Spain, Portugal, or France. It's believed by some that he was born in 1691, 1710, or 1712. So like there's dates out there, but again, like who knows? The count himself would later on claim on his deathbed to be the son of Prince Francis Rakoczy II of Transylvania.
But wait, you said he's an immortal.
Right.
Immortal.
He's immortal. He's immortal. We'll just say he's immortal.
He's not mortal.
He's immortal.
Okay, so he's immortal.
He's immortal.
Immortal?
Immortal.
Okay, he's an immortal.
No, not immortal. IMM. Immortal.
Oh, there's an M. It's on an N. I always thought it was an N. That's why people look at me weird when I say words because I don't know what they are. Oh.
Ooh, this is me a doozy.
That wasn't my spelling words in grade school. I got that one wrong.
You're a doctor.
I'm not a doctor of spelling.
I know, but you have to know how to spell if you're going to get a PhD, I would assume.
No, that's why you use the internet.
Fair enough.
Word.
We live in
Google
good times
Docs
like
and
that.
Word write everything for you. What do you, they fix all that stuff.
All right. So again, the count would,
also my dissertation doesn't have one instance of immortal in it.
Well, sure. But, all right. Fair enough.
Yeah, there you go.
So he claimed on his deathbed to be the son of Prince Francis Rakoczy II of Transylvania.
But he's immortal. He's immortal now all of a sudden.
But he died.
That's what I mean. He's
Yeah.
I'm immortal.
Immortal.
I thought he was immortal.
Yeah. Here's the thing.
Boy.
This Francis that he claims to be the son of was born in 1676. So if he was actually born in 1691, his dad would have been 15.
Oh, it's back in that day.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
1600s, right?
Just throwing it out there, yeah.
You die when you're 26. You know, so you got to have a family by the time you're 15.
But regardless, he would have to be from nobility due to his knowledge of the arts, politics, and diplomacy. Also, the fact that he's multilingual. So he had to have some kind of proper education that only like nobility can get. It said his attire wasn't that of a common person.
Attire?
Not.
He had tires?
Yeah, tires. Yeah. He invented tires.
Okay.
His attire, he wore powdered wigs, rings, and was extremely well dressed. So someone of like some common person again wasn't wearing this stuff.
Okay.
He had to have some kind of money.
Like, do you think back then, like 1600s, 1700s, like you had one outfit? I mean, not rich people, but like a normal person.
Probably, yeah.
Like you just wore the same thing every day.
Yeah.
Man, I was
wash it when you can.
Around. Like
stunk around.
Everything is stunk. Because they had those like, was it the pantaloons where you had like,
yeah,
your underwear was all like one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. It seemed like it sucked. I guess you had to make your own clothes too, though. For the most part.
Yeah, if you have the money to like,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah. If you're a kid growing up in that time and you're from a peasant family, your mom's making your clothes.
You get a lot of hand-me-downs too, I'd guess.
You probably get like a nice suit to go to church in, maybe.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just wearing like a potato sack, maybe.
I don't know. It sounds cool. Honestly, today's society, I'd love to just have one outfit to wear. Unless this is from someone who went to a Catholic grade school, K through 8, and wore the same thing every day.
Yeah, I would
every day to
like
wear
that.
Ties.
I would like that.
And a button-up
even as a
shirt.
kid, but like that as an adult, I'd be like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, yeah. It was nice now. And back then, it sucked because I hate tucking my shirt in. That's why I still hate tucking my shirt in. I never wear ties anymore. Refuse to. I hate them. And then I looked up the research. Like I looked up the history of ties, and I'm like, "What the hell are we doing? This is stupid." It's like
a weird thing.
It was something with maybe like the Norman conquest of England or something, and they had they used ties to stop. It was something about them showing. It was like some group that came into power, and I don't know if it was they wore that to show that they didn't get they weren't dirty from killing people, or it was something it was just to show that they're from this other class, and if these peasants didn't wear it, so therefore they're not. It was something like that with I think the Norman invasion. There was also a thing with. I might be getting that confused with Mr. and Mrs. using the Mr. The reason why they use Mr. Is because the Normans invaded England and they wanted to be the flat, they wanted to be known as something different than the other British people. Everybody called them Mr. It meant something.
I don't know about all that.
Keep going with your Saint Germain.
So I know that the fact I'm saying this guy was immortal and all that stuff is ridiculous, but that he was in fact a real person at some point. There's records of this guy being alive. He was a real person. It's that we don't know exactly when he was around. So I'm going to go through some of these accounts of when he was cited, interacted with other people.
And who's the one presenting this information? Voltaire? Is he the only?
Various people.
Okay, so he's not just
various real historical figures have met this man.
Okay, including Voltaire.
Yeah.
The modern necktie can be traced back to 1636 when King Louis the 13th of France was taken style of Croatian mercenaries who wore the colorful scarves tied around their necks during the 30 Years' War.
Why they wear the scarves?
There's Egypt wore them too, maybe. People in Egypt. Neckerchiefs. Part of their uniform.
Do these look cool?
Well, I guess back in the 30 Years' War, they wore them around their neck. I guess it's saying there's part of this group.
Yeah.
And King Louis was like, hey, that's great.
I like that.
13. Was he the one that got his head chopped off?
Yeah.
Who was that?
16th.
Oh, man.
We'll go into that too. So from about 1737 to 1742, said that the Count spent time in Persia. Here he's in the Shahs, or kings, court where he learned how to craft jewelry.
Jewelry. Jeweler. A jeweler? Jewelry's Vern.
The first official record of the count's existence isn't until 1742 or 1743 or 1745. And it depends on the sources. During one of those 3 years, he was arrested in England on suspicion of being a Jacobite spy.
Jacobite, thank you.
The first official record of the count's existence is until 1742, 1743, or 1745. So one of these 3 years. In one of those 3 years, he's arrested in England on suspicion of being a Jacobite spy. This is during the Jacobite Revolution, 1745. During this revolution, Jacobites were backers of the exiled James II of England. We're trying to put him back on the throne.
That was a big part in Outlander again.
Oh,
was the first couple of seasons was all about the Jacobite Revolution.
And I never knew this. I just found this out. Jacobite is derived from Jacobus, the Latin word for James. So they were supporters of James II.
There's still there's another mystery out there about the Jacobite gold or something, right? I think it's like one of a mystery we should cover is like the Jacobite. There was all this gold that he got or something that they were amassing, especially the Scottish were amassing for him.
Mm-hmm.
And like it got lost somewhere. And supposedly it's like one of those treasures in the world.
Oh.
Yeah. Jacobite gold. I think it came up a couple of times when I was researching stuff.
Okay.
Someday, maybe.
Yeah, because I think James II was Catholic, and prior to this, like, the country kind of was pushing towards Protestantism.
I think also the French were involved in that.
Or, yes.
So, like, because they were trying to push.
Yeah, there was a lot. England and France, man, they didn't get along for a very long time.
It's always like throughout history, it's always like two countries, like great world powers, like always at odds. Like now they're friends, but like America and Russia and like.
Right. Also, there's times where like a French was ruling England. It goes back to like and the Conqueror, who was from Normandy. He was technically French. A lot of that going on.
A lot of what going on?
There'd be a French ruler, a person who's French who's king of England.
Because they just like kind of
through like marriage and succession and stuff like that.
They just kind of put people in charge.
Yeah, they're like people were wedding one another to like peace, and then later on be like, well, this person was French, they shouldn't be ruling England, and all that stuff, or vice versa.
Why was it like France and England were like such big world powers at the time? At the was it like 1600s, 1700s? They were just like England and France had like places everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading about the history of like
colonies.
Yeah, it's just because they just conquered a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Like just military powers.
I was just like exploited the people they colonized.
I was reading a lot about Africa and like Congo and like them. I was reading about like the history of that. I was like, oh my god, like France just came down and took over, and they like, kind of just were like, see ya. And
Belgium did too, yeah.
And like Spain did a lot of that stuff too.
Portugal.
And Europe was a terror during that time.
So he's put in prison because he's thought to be a spy. There's stories of him getting out of prison by showing his skill at playing the violin. Apparently he's put in prison. He's like, I'll get out of this by playing the violin for people.
Pied Piper.
Yep. Some of these accounts say that he's anywhere from adept to excellent at playing the violin, even writing several of his own musical pieces.
But it's not like that twangy piano from this time. Remember, like the French piano and like
Baroque kind of.
Yeah,
piano,
that's a gross thing. Yuckies.
Around 1750, the Count appears in France. He quickly becomes a friend and political advisor to King Louis XV. In fact, the king trusted the Count so much he allowed the Count to be alone in his mistress's room, that of Madame de Pompadour.
Now, when we say mistress in this time, mistress is like his wife.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's like his
side lady.
Okay, so the mistress still means kind of what it's saying today. Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if it was like because you hear like people like say, "Oh, mistress," like the servants refer to like the queen as mistress, or like maybe or like the queen, like the daughter or something like. Oh, mistress.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying
they use it as like a form of.
No, I'm pretty sure this is
an actual mistress.
Yeah, but it was like known.
Cool.
So he's allowed to be in this. He's allowed to be in the room alone with this guy's mistress. So that's saying a lot. In fact, the king, again, this is Louis XV, sent Saint Germain on diplomatic missions to various countries. During this time, this is the 7 Years' War. In one such mission, he sent to Amsterdam. There, he meets various people of power from multiple countries to broker a peace treaty. Again, this goes back to being multilingual. He was fluent in French, English, Spanish, Dutch, Portuguese, Russian, German, Arabic, and Chinese.
How is anybody that
fluent?
It
was said he could read Sanskrit, Greek, and Latin.
How is anybody that fluent at this time in history?
That's what's really weird about this.
Because like one guy fluent in that many languages in the 1700s. So how is that possible? I mean, unless he's rich.
Right. That's the thing. He has to come from some kind of money in order to like be this well educated. But again, there's the 7 Years' War is going on. 7 Years' War is going on. So everyone's like backstabbing one another. A lot of like conspiracy theories and like spies, espionage going on.
So he's either rich, he's rich and a nerd because he does that much studying.
Yeah, I guess maybe. Yeah. So someone during this whole like peace brokership thinks that Saint Germain's up to no good. They're like, oh, this guy's probably a spy. He's probably trying to back the wrong person, trying to overthrow somebody. So someone there convinces that King Louis the 15th exile the Count out of France, which ends up happening. But in 1760, he leaves. Apparently in 1762, that the Count was in Russia only 2 years later.
God.
It's here he supposedly took part in a conspiracy that removed Peter III from the throne, placing Catherine the Great on it. So this guy keeps ending up finding his way into like the royal courts in all these different countries.
Like Gandalf the Great or Gray or whatever. What was his name? Whatever.
Gray or white. Gray than white.
Never read it.
Okay.
I mean, I saw the movies recently.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. 1774, he returns to France. At this time, it's now ruled by Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette. Count again somehow finds his way into the royal court. He apparently warns the monarchy of the upcoming revolution taking place 15 years from then, which ends up being the French Revolution. This would have been accurate because the French Revolution did take place 15 years later in 1789. But again, they're like, oh, easy to say that because at this point it have already happened. Or just saying that he was there, like, sure, of course he told them about this.
Okay, yeah.
1776, there's unsubstantiated claims. But apparently the Count was at the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
That's so far away.
Yeah.
But he's from France, right?
Maybe.
So, because like France, our ally, or well, they were involved.
They were involved, yeah, because this 7 Years' War, 7 Years' War, and the French and Indian War was also part of that, and that was American colonists against the French. But then they ended up helping us during the Revolution because like obviously didn't like the British. But also in the same year, the Count is said to have been in Germany. It's there he befriended King Frederick and Prince Karl or Charles of Hesse-Kassel. The prince even gave the Count a free house. Again, he's finding somehow getting into these predicaments, getting out of them, going to a different country, befriending nobility, monarchs. They all seem to like love him. They're just giving him stuff.
This is like what's his name? Mr. Magoo or something, like Mr. Bean. He's just like falling into things. Yeah. He's like back. Luckily, he's like walking onto like a train platform, gets on a boat platform, like reading the book.
Yeah. 1784, the Count suddenly died after a bout of pneumonia. His belongings were auctioned off since no relative came forward.
That's because he was a time traveling weirdo.
The house that he was given by the prince, I think, was actually a old factory or something like that. That got turned into a hospital. His grave was eventually opened later on, but no body was in it.
How later on are we talking?
I couldn't get a specific. I couldn't get it.
Pacific Ocean?
Couldn't get a specific date. This is 1784, okay? So if he was born in 1691, he would have been 93 years old. During this time, everyone thinks he still looks 45. If he was born in 1710, he would have been 74 years old. Still, this is...
Yeah, you're old.
He's old.
Yeah.
Especially for this time. That's pretty dang old.
Does he have a last name again?
He just called himself the Count of Saint Germain.
And where was Saint Germain? No one knows.
I looked it up. There's a liqueur named Saint Germain that's named after a place in Boulevard, I think in France, or like a district in France. Maybe that's what he's trying to convince people of. But if he's in France, people, I think he's calling himself that. Like, no, you're not the Count.
He's like a punk from the streets, and he's like, I'm a count. And they're like, well, no, you're not. Is this the movie with Leo DiCaprio where he's like,
Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah, is this what this
I mean,
is?
it definitely seems kind of like it.
Never seen it, but I hear it's great. I understand the premise.
All right, so what do you think as of right now? Guy never ages. He's able to get in the courts and good graces of like nobility and monarchies.
I think
he seems to be around during very pivotal things in history.
Yeah, he's always like in like the background, like in a picture, like waving like at the camera or something. Like he's always in the background.
He has his hands in something. All these things going on in history.
So it's either one of two things. It's like a guy. It's either one guy that was involved with a couple different things, and a bunch of historians that just made up dates. They didn't really know when certain dates happened or certain events happened. Or there's a guy that kind of looks the same.
Sure. Yeah.
And
just pretending to be that guy.
Right. Yeah. Or, well, here's a third thing. It never happened. Voltaire just made it all up. Yeah, we're going to lock him up with Jules.
Okay, so that's kind of like a timeline of places he was noted as being in. Now, that's over, almost 90 plus years.
Okay, so it is possible.
It's possible, like, again, it's known he's actually a real person.
This guy actually existed.
But it's the matter of figuring out which one of these places he's in at the right time. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way he could have been all these different places during that. Because he would have aged, right?
Yeah, and also
as a man, he definitely did exist. But pinpointing where
someone existed that went by this name.
Yes, yeah.
But we don't know where that person was in history.
No.
If at all.
We're going to go over some firsthand accounts of when people actually interacted with this man. Real people from history actually interacted with this man.
But before you do that, do you think this is kind of like one of those things like the Family Guy movie?
Which?
The one where they go back, Stewie goes back in time to see his younger self. And it's like, in the future, going back in time is vacation. You just go through time as a vacation. Maybe this is a guy just like some guy in the future going back and checking these things out. Like, hey, look at this, it's crazy. And you're like, you have to wear this wig if you do this.
Well, I did say, as one of the theories was, he's actually a time traveler.
Okay.
Put out there.
Perfect.
Again, we went over these, dates that he was seeing or being part of these historical events, but I'm going to give you some first-hand accounts of people who actually had interactions with.
Hit me.
And these are getting a little far-fetched and going to be quite weird.
The hell you say?
All right.
Now you warned me about the weirdness.
So we're going back to 1710. Okay. This is also one of the years that was given for when he was actually possibly born. It was 1710, because we said 1691, 1710, and 1712. Going back to 1710. A Countess von Georgi claimed to have met and befriended the Count in Venice in 1710.
Wait, we met him as a baby?
Hold on. Then, years later in 1760, Madame de Pompadour, this is the woman, the mistress of Louis XV, at a party at her house in France. This is 50 years later. Okay. Countess von Georgi, hearing that the Count would be at this party, was curious because her friend she had met 50 years prior. But reasonably, the Countess and Saint Germain should both be significantly older by now. Right?
Reasonably.
50 years have gone by.
Especially if he was a newborn when they met and struck up a friendship, apparently.
Right. The Count arrives at this party, and his parents shocks the Countess. Because to her, he looks exactly the same.
As a newborn child.
Yeah. Baby just walks in with a powdered wig.
So this is the other theory.
With some bling on his fingers.
This theory relies on the fact that he was born actually in 1690 or whatever.
Well, not necessarily, because you'll see why.
Mm-hmm.
She logically thinks that this man he had met in Venice might have been the Count's father. Because again, this guy looks exactly the same to her. But Germain replied, "No, madame, but I myself was living in Venice at the end of the last and the beginning of this century. I had the honor to pay you court then." Commented that he had not aged since their last meeting. He was 45 then and appears to be the same age now.
He was 45 in 1710?
And he must be nearly 100 years old at this, what she tells him. Even if he was born in 1691,
He would have been 20 when they met.
the count replied,
So she's lying.
well, the count replied, Madam, I'm very old. That is not impossible. He's over 100 years old.
Maybe he just looks good. I mean, there's some people that age really well.
She was still like, okay, this doesn't seem right. But he was able to recount their last meeting, everything they talked about during their last meeting 50 years ago. He looks the exact same. So what are you thinking now?
I'm thinking she's a
Dummy?
lying dummy. Yeah, like they probably met like 10 years prior and she's like, it was so long ago. I'm an idiot. Like that's what it has to be, right? Can't trust them back then either.
Yep.
Can't trust these people. Can't trust rich people back then.
We're going back to Voltaire.
Hate them.
In a letter he once wrote to Frederick the Great of Prussia, he said, "This man who never dies knows everything." So I just want to understand. He says, send this letter to Frederick the Great of Prussia, saying this man never dies and he knows everything. Do you think this is coming from Voltaire, from what we know about him so far?
So he's lying.
Either, is he warning the King of Prussia that this guy might be like a scam artist, or is this coming out of admiration? Like this guy.
No,
like,
it's a scam artist. He's like saying like he knows too much. We have to, and he can't die. We can't kill him for some reason. He keeps on Mr. Magooing his way through stuff, like Mr. Beaning his way through stuff.
Yeah. I read that like a couple of sites were just like, it's made it seem like he's admiring this guy. Like, oh, this guy knows everything. He can never die. But then other people like, he's sarcastically saying, oh, this guy knows everything. He can't die. Like he's clearly like,
He keeps popping up. He's so annoying.
Yeah. Clearly like something is wrong with this guy.
He's like that one friend you're like kind of friends with, but he has like a cool car or something or something. He's like a rich kid and you're like, I gotta deal with him because he gives me stuff.
But like, if you think about it, like seeing this guy from someone else's perspective, like say you're like Voltaire or someone else, and this guy's going around saying like, oh, I've lived for 100 years. I've been in all these royal courts. I've been part of this thing, this, revolution, help this king out, help this queen out. Like you'd be like, all right, dude, come on. Like you're a scam artist, or like there's something not right about it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's just lying.
That's kind of thing is like Voltaire saying that, or does he actually like believe this stuff?
We all hear people that like bend the truth a little bit to make themselves feel better about themselves.
So the Karl, or Charles of Hesse, depending on how it's pronounced, Karl Charles of Hesse, the guy that gave him this land to live on when he passed, he said Saint Germain spoke to him great things he wanted to achieve for mankind. The embellishment of colors, of the improvement of metals. There's almost nothing in nature that he did not know how to improve and use. He entrusted me with almost all the knowledge of nature. I made myself his disciple. So at this place that he gave him, he was allowed to do all this alchemy work, and he's like, hey, we're going to change the world, kind of. Prince was like, oh, okay, I'm in. Teach me everything you know.
I don't know about this guy. Who was the prince again? The Russia guy?
He was from Germany.
Germany, okay.
Yeah. It's either Karl or Charles, depending on...
An H.
Are you familiar with the person Casanova?
No.
Have you heard?
You mean from the American Pie movie?
wait. Yeah, what do they say in that?
They call me Casa, as in Casanova.
Yeah, do you know what that means?
No.
Okay.
I thought it just meant like he was, into stuff, like down the clown.
The Casanova is known to be one of the most famous lovers in history.
Like Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, maybe less rapey. Maybe I don't know. I know,
I've never seen an episode of Pepe Le Pew.
He seemed kind of force himself a little bit on the old poor cat.
A cat?
Yeah.
Oh, because he thought it was a
skunk.
Okay.
There's all these instances where like the cat like would get white paint on her.
Is that why we don't see him around anymore?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's a little too handsy,
forceful.
maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, this guy Casanova again. This person's real as well. He wrote this book where he's talking about his sexual exploits. He's known to be the most famous lover in history.
Says by who?
Yeah, I don't know how you get that.
Okay, it's a hell of a title.
Good for him, I guess.
What was he, French?
He was an Italian man.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, how do you get that?
Like who gives you? Is there like a competition?
I think he probably gave them to himself.
Yeah.
Apparently,
he wrote a book.
Yeah.
I don't know. Seems like a lot of crap. Seems like he's lying. Weird. Men lie about that stuff. Weird. I never heard of that.
I'm the greatest
Weird,
lover ever.
Yeah, right.
So he recalls a dinner he once attended. This is Casanova. At this dinner, the Count was there. I think this was actually at this Count Georgie's residence. This is the Countess Georgie's residence. This is the Countess that was like, hey, I knew you 50 years ago. So they're all at dinner with a bunch of other people. Very high class kind of thing.
Ooh.
So Casanova recalls during this, he says, it's the most memorable dinner I had with Madame de Robert Georgie, the famous adventurer Count de Saint-Germain. He talked nonstop through the meal, and I listened intently, captivated by his conversation. Saint-Germain was a brilliant conversationalist, always aiming to amaze. He was a scholar, linguist, musician, chemist, and charmer, especially with women, to whom he offered cosmetics. He won the favor of Madame de Pompadour, who would introduce him to the king, leading to his creation of a laboratory at Chambord. Saint-Germain claimed extraordinary abilities, including to be 300 years old, knowing the secret of the universal medicine, and even being able to create large diamonds from smaller ones. Despite his grandiose claims and eccentricities, I found him astonishing rather than offensive. There's a lot there, guys saying.
He's making crap up.
So, right,
he's the first douchebag in history.
I just thought it was funny. He talked through the whole meal.
Yeah.
But it also seems like this Casanova, who seems to be a guy with a pretty big ego, is somewhat kind of fascinated by him.
So
maybe fascinated by the fact that he's a bigger douche than he is, or the fascination is like, wow, this guy's done a lot.
He can talk a lot. He can lie really good.
Say good.
Guy Como Casanova was an explorer or adventurer and
glaucoma Casanova.
Guy Como.
Giacomo.
There you go.
Giacomo.
He was a
Giacomo.
Giacomo. Hey, Giacomo, get over here. He was a adventurer and author. So of course he made this up.
Well, I don't think he made this necessarily made this up. I think
autobiography called His Story of My Life.
Yeah, I think that is highly exaggerated.
Yeah, because it's like, is it one of those books where they like, oh, he talks about pantaloons. Hide it.
All right, so during this dinner, quite a bit to unpack her. I don't know if Casanova is either saying this guy is, like you said, a douche, or there's somewhat kind of admiration toward what he's saying. I think it's interesting that he said he didn't eat, but rather talk the whole time. This is kind of important that comes up later. This shows that the Count was a man of wealth. He freely gave up expensive skincare and makeup to several women at this dinner like it was nothing.
Skincare makeup at this time.
Lead.
Yeah, like
lead paint.
There are like stories about like radon, when they use radon makeup to make the eyes glow, and then like their eyes start melting out of their face.
Yeah, mercury I think was sometimes used too.
People are like, whoa.
I guess he had an understanding. The Count of Saint-Germain had an understanding of hair follicles and like lines, like
crow's feet and stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Aging lines or like wrinkles.
Wrinkles. Thank you. I don't know.
So he never made expression.
I don't know why I couldn't remember. We just talked the whole time.
Yeah,
just dead face.
He didn't want to ever crease anything.
That's why he didn't eat or drink anything. So yeah, he had this knowledge of skincare, I guess, and had his own makeup that he just kind of gave away. He had the knowledge of such things as well as the ability to create diamonds.
Created diamonds?
Well, he was able to make smaller diamonds into bigger ones, or vice versa.
What? No.
So this is again goes back to the alchemy thing. He claims he's 300 years old during this whole dinner.
Is that one of those things where it's like, see, I think now you're saying that, like, I'm like, okay, he's just saying like, he's using a metaphor. Like I have the knowledge of a man 300 years is my age or something, like, you know what I mean? He's using it as a metaphor, and Voltaire's dumb butt wrote it down wrong.
This is Casanova.
Okay, well, I'm not putting my stock in him. Him and Voltaire can go to hell. That's why if we can ever do time travel, I'm going back in time. I'm putting him, Voltaire, Casanova, and Jules Verne, and I'm just dumping them in a lake.
But then we got to drain it.
No, not lakes.
Or just the ocean?
Oh, yeah, ocean.
Okay, all right. There's some big lakes, though. Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Big.
We still need water.
Oh, yeah. So these things I pointed out, these are other things that come up from other sources about Saint Germain and his life and his abilities, perhaps. One of which he was a ladies' man, which is said during this dinner. Other people have noted the same thing. Sources say he never ate or drank anything in public, including during these courtly big lavish feasts and parties. He would only live on a diet of oatmeal, and he'd only eat that in private.
Oatmeal?
Yep. Why oatmeal? It mentions the alchemy side. It says that he has a residence in France to practice alchemy.
Wait, oatmeal as in...
Oatmeal.
Did you ever put like any apples in there? Apple cinnamon oatmeal? Any
Maybe.
blueberry just cream? You know, those
Not
good
that I know
ones?
of.
Peaches and cream, my favorite. Peaches. The peaches one. So, no, my favorite is the salt.
Salt?
It's something in salt. Delicious.
What like sauerkraut and salt? Or like...
I love sauerkraut, but I wouldn't put on my oatmeals.
Meotsies.
My oatsies.
What was it in salt? That's weird.
No, it's like...
Is it like chocolate chip? Chocolate chip and salt? That could be good. A little chocolate
like
and salt.
caramel salt and salt?
Caramel, I can see that. Caramel
No,
salt
it's
and
not.
salt.
It's like one of those like Quaker Oats brand. It's real. Just talk about the turd you're talking about.
Other contemporary sources claim that Germain had residences with alchemy labs in other countries. Remember, he was not only in France, but apparently in England, Russia, Germany, even the U.S. So theoretically, could have alchemy labs all over the place.
Did you ever find like his like alchemy books?
No.
Like his research or anything?
So when all this stuff got auctioned off, I remember there wasn't really anything significant left. We didn't find any cool jewels or anything like that. I think there's some things that were like, okay, it kind of makes sense, but like they didn't find any, like, I don't think, like, because he also was supposed to be this great musician. I didn't think they found anything like that. Yeah, I don't think they found any alchemy related things. One report claims he had a vial on a necklace or on his neck that supposedly held a philosopher's stone.
Okay. I see where he's going.
He was so adept in alchemy, he was able to create this mythical item, thus giving him an eternal youth. The adeptness at alchemy could also explain his wealth. Again, people were like, we don't know where this guy came from. We don't know how he has all this money. If he's able to be an alchemist, and that's like a real thing, he's able to just like take common things and turn them into gold, diamonds, jewels, which could explain why he had this wealth and why he was able to wear such fine things.
That makes sense. Like if you can make that stuff and just sell it.
Right.
Yeah.
But regardless of this, he died in 1784.
He wasn't he wasn't
Immortal.
Unimmortal. Unimmortal.
Again, supposed to have this everlasting youth of being 45.
Yeah, that's a
But he
strange
died in
age.
1784.
Unless he discovered something at the age of 45,
Well,
alchemy
I
wise.
think that's what they're alluding to, because he had to do all this studying throughout his youth.
Yeah, because in 45, oof.
Yeah, but he died in 1784. All the stuff was sold off, buried, but his coffin didn't have anything in it. So some people are just like, oh, he's dead. Finally died. He's not really immortal. However, in 1785, St. Germain's name appeared on the attendance list of the Freemasons Convention.
That had to be someone just used that name.
Also that year, German physician Anton Mesmer and the Count taught him how to hypnotize people. From 1789 to 1820, the Countess Pauline d'Admire claimed she met the Count several times, noting he never aged. In 1926, author C.W. Leadbeater claimed he encountered the Count in Rome.
Wait, this is like 1900s era.
Yep.
Like
because he's supposed to be dead, but like people keep saying he's popping up. Claimed that the Count showed him a cloak belonging to a Roman emperor. Commented about living in Transylvania Castle. Then suddenly, there was a man in the 1970s who claimed he was Saint Germain.
Was he some poor guy on the streets? I mean, there's probably...
Apparently he was a magician. But he went on live French TV.
He might have been... We know a guy named something Saint Germain. Like his last name is Saint Germain.
Yeah,
so like
right.
he may not be lying. His parents probably like, we named him Count.
This guy, his actual name wasn't... He said he was Saint Germain, but like his name wasn't actually Saint Germain. He's like I'm a reincarnated version of...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's one of those people.
He went on French TV showing he could transform lead into gold. He went on French TV, had his old production. I guess he used like a campfire, like a light kind of thing. Took some kind of powder, projection powder, which I think is supposed to be part, or it might be the philosopher's stone. I was able to take a lead coil and then turn it into gold. The gold was later tested by experts, and apparently it actually was gold. So he could, I mean.
But did he test that lead before that?
Not that I know of.
It might have been just covered in lead.
Yeah.
It might have been, and they just burned off.
I feel like they would have checked that.
It's TV. They didn't really
but again,
check
like he's a magician. This could have been like sleight of hand kind of thing.
yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah.
So again.
But this guy also died too, so he's dead.
Yeah.
This guy's dead now. I think he died in like 83. But there's even crazier claims.
Oh, okay.
Not that only he's still alive, but that he's either been reincarnated or immortal. Saint Germain is believed to be an ascended master, capital letters, a spiritual being in the theosophical tradition, which achieved a high level of wisdom through numerous reincarnations. So theosophicism, I don't think that's. Anyways, this is a cult created by a Russian woman in like the 1800s that states that these masters are said to unify spiritual and material worlds. Saint Germain is thought to have lived past lives as various historical figures, including the prophet Samuel of the Old Testament. After that, he was Joseph, the father of Jesus.
Adopted father.
Adopted, thank you. Adopted father of Jesus. Merlin, with King Arthur lore. And even Sir Francis Bacon for his final reincarnation in the 18th century as Saint Germain.
And then he was a musician in France.
Yeah. And there's other ones, like he might have been one of the ones that like was at the crucifixion of Jesus. It's nuts, man. But this occult in the 1800s, they claim that he was still alive. Even there's this picture apparently online that of the leader of this theosophical occult using a picture with these two other guys, and apparently the third guy is Saint Germain. But they believe he's part of this grand line of people who have been integral parts in not only like in the 1800s, like we talked, or the 18th century, like we talked about, but like going back to biblical times. Dies, gets reincarnated, and different person dies, gets reincarnated. Eventually, he gets reincarnated as Saint Germain as we know him in the 18th century.
So there's just a line of people just lying.
Yeah, I mean, like he was there. Like it's easy for them to be like, oh yeah, he was this significant person in history, did this great thing, or terrible.
It's easy
thing.
to say that after the fact.
Of course, yeah,
yeah.
It's all
So what do we got
hindsight?
What do we got for theories on this?
Here we go.
This piece of poop here.
Was he actually immortal?
Right. Was he actually immortal? Immortal. Not immortal.
He has appeared ageless, seemed to be around for centuries, and they apparently knew all this alchemy thing, where you can create and be youthful forever.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
I mean, isn't alchemy turning something into something? Like,
yeah, apparently he was able to make an elixir from the philosopher's stone that would give him eternal youth.
Okay.
Man, it's easy to say that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course he was able to do that. Sure, yeah.
But like, if you look back through history, a lot of those guys all look the same. Like in the 1700s, they all look the same.
Yeah, but there's a picture, an engraving.
They all have long hair with the fake,
with the wig. Yeah, there's an engraving of them. That's the most common you see. But then, like I was saying, with that Russian woman who created this occult, with a picture of him in there, they don't look the same at all. It's like the guy looks nothing like him. So it's like, no, dumb. All right, time traveler.
Okay.
The fact they had knowledge of events before they happen, and how he just disappeared for several years. When you hear a trace about him, and then just reappear years later with documentation, but be in the right place at the right kind of time. Be in the court of these nobles and monarchies, prophesizing things or getting diplomatic truces done or attempting to, like, that's kind of like the whole thing of the time travel. Could it be a series of men throughout time claiming to be the same man? Like you said, everyone looked alike back then. Using the same, fake name, moniker.
Yeah.
I'm Saint Germain. They're passing on like their wealth to one another or something like that, or totally separate from each other too.
Yeah.
Or it could have been one real guy, just that guy died and everyone's, some other guy's like, oh yeah, he's dead now. I'll just pretend I'm him and like benefit from that because he knows all these kings and queens.
Do you think Saint Germain is just like a rank? Like, you know, that type of thing. Like, you're the Saint Germain of this outfit, you know? Well,
there's speculation that he's a Freemason and all his like Illuminati, and there's one other one I can't remember any of that he's part of like these mystic esoteric cults. So maybe that. Another one is that he was just a spy. He very well could have been taught all these languages and how to fit in high society in order to infiltrate the countries at the highest level, being the monarchies. Apparently did it a bunch.
He's like a John Doe, like type of thing. Like
sure.
he's like Saint Germain is just like what they said.
It's like 007.
Yeah. Again, it's a rank,
right? So, but would that mean he's just loyal to one country, or playing both sides, or was it part of something larger than all these countries? Some entities pushing these countries at war, trying to push for truces. So again, this goes to the part of the Illuminati. If the Illuminati was a thing back then, or some other weird secret society thing that controls everything, and he's just like an agent of that.
Or he's like, guy's a real Saint Germain, huh?
I think this is the one that's most likely. The last one we got, he was just a con man.
Yeah.
Right? He just fabricated these lies or this appearances of himself. He's spread these rumors of himself. It only perpetuated his legend. Like, was it calculated? He's like, oh, I don't need anything. People would start talking in these high society courts, rumors of travel, like, oh, he doesn't eat. He doesn't need to eat. Why would he need to eat? Oh, he must be immortal. And he's not going to say, like, that's not true, because it's only helping me further, right? And by doing this, he kind of becomes like this spectacle. Everyone's looking at him. So, like, high society members would be like, hey, come to this party. So everyone knows that I know the guy who might be immortal. Like the belle of the ball, kind of.
Yeah.
Benefiting from this.
Belle of the ball.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then once, maybe those monarchies or nobility people in a certain country catch on to this, he's just using them, gets exiled, goes to another country, does the same thing, gets exiled, goes to another country until he just dies. Maybe they're eventually catching on. He's lying and using them because he doesn't stay in these countries very long, it seems. A couple of years.
So here's my theory. Is it possible that historians or whatever created this guy as like a story, or like maybe one guy did and said, kind of like a book, like, it seems like it's like a Da Vinci Code type of book where this guy is like in everything. I think there's probably even movies like that. I know there's a movie or plot out there of something where this guy is. I
think they made a movie about this.
This guy is always a part of every major thing in the world. Is that possible? Voltaire wrote a book and it's like a mostly not biographical, but it's like a book about this guy who's in.
I mean, I don't know about Casanova, but apparently Voltaire was like, he was a scientist and he apparently was pretty shrewd or like pretty good, well with being thorough, and like he's a man of reason. I think it goes back to saying like maybe he's just like, this guy's a con. That's why he kind of put it, this guy, he doesn't die, but he knows everything. I think wasn't admiring him when he wrote that to the King of Prussia. He was just like, no, this guy's a joke.
Yeah, we're missing the words.
Yeah, he's not the real deal.
Again, with writing, we can't determine.
Right, because we don't have the whole context of it.
Right.
I don't have the
context or like.
Even Casanova was saying the same thing. This guy says he's 300 years old. He knows everything. Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
And that's probably what most likely scenario is.
So that's what I'm saying. I think he's just a con man. Like he somehow would like con his way into like these royal courts. They'd eventually find out about him and they'd like kick him out of the country and just go to the next country, do the same thing. Next country, do the same thing until he just eventually just died.
You really think he traveled all these different places and would try to con his way in?
But that's the thing. And like he did that over like 90 years. Apparently, if he was born in 1691, again, that might be not true either.
Yeah.
Year he was born or he died, but.
Because if you say this, going back to the lady in the story about meeting him again, is it possible that he was just like, she met some other guy.
Yeah, just got him confused.
And it was 50 years later. And he's like, yeah, sure I am.
Yeah, exactly.
He just kind of went with it.
Yeah, of course. It's like, well, But she's like, he's able to recount these things. Like, I'm sure, but he's like,
I'm sure she was drunk or something.
Yeah, we met at that party of like the king, or
he was like, the context clues type of thing, like cold read or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, I think he's just a con man.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Maybe they just got the dates of him being born wrong because
records weren't good.
Yeah, right.
Like, how do they really know he was in all these different places?
Yeah.
And there's multiple people writing the story, right? Or writing this information down, and someone went and pieced it all together.
Yeah.
That person didn't piece it together correctly. Or like misinterpreted a lot of what they were saying, especially timeline wise.
Right.
There's no like fact checking this type of stuff nowadays.
No. That's why I think I like that character in the Castlevania anime, because like he's trying to find, was it the infinite corridor? Because he's trying to find like his wife. He knows he can use that infinite corridor to like go through time or dimensions. They show him like being like on all these different timelines and like points in history. I remember he's like my favorite character in that show. I was like, oh, it's just based on this guy.
Yeah.
He's much cooler in that show.
Yeah, I think the way that Outlander did it was Saint Germain was like an industrialist or like a shipping magnate who ran like warehouses on the docks that stored stuff, and then eventually they found out, oh, he's a time traveler too.
Okay.
And I think that's how it went. But his name was Saint Germain, and then she eventually I think killed him or something, or had him killed, or he died. It's like he played a game.
Okay.
He was like actually a bad guy, but yeah, that makes sense. It seems like he's just a prominent person in history, but like we're talking about him in 2 different TV shows, possibly 3.
I think he was in one of the Castlevania games too. I never played that one, but yeah, like he's come up a lot in like different shows.
Yeah, so
like
is that just the same thing we're seeing here? Like
maybe, yeah.
People haven't used it in popular media.
Maybe it's like a
culture.
It could be like another example of like a historical, or not historical, a mass hysteria kind of thing. Not maybe it's not hysteria, but like they heard about the story and they're like, I heard that story too.
Cross
but like,
media, like
I heard it when he was in Russia and like help overthrow, that that person and like got this person on the throne. But like I heard he was in the United States and signed Declaration of Independence. And
I'm thinking maybe Saint Germain was more of like a thing you called people back then. Like you see this other Saint Germain over here, but this Saint Germain over here,
the douche, another name for a douche.
Yeah, bring that back. Don't be a Saint Germain.
Don't be Germain.
Yeah. So that's all you got?
That's all I got, man. Yeah. I'm going Conman. What are you doing? What do you think?
I'm just saying it's a lie. It's all a lie. It's all these guys just made it up. And
at some point, this guy did exist. That is
a guy existed, yes, in some point in time.
Oh no, a man named Saint Germain existed. One of those things he was a part of, had to been a part of one of those things. But
he probably was a part of like a few, maybe 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah,
and like because he did like maybe it was a guy who did a good thing here, and so they said like he must have been a part of this one and this one.
Sure, yeah.
Or he was a guy that was connected with other guys that were going out and speaking for him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was only centrally located and like he had, I'm gonna send this guy here, I'm gonna send this guy here, type of thing.
He's still like a big part of that Theosophical Society. Like I was like Googling stuff. I was like, oh, Saint Germain's wisdom. I was like, oh, I'm not going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
not to knock that stuff if you believe that. But I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting that like he's still that prominent some part of society.
Yeah. Well, I think it's all a lie.
Yeah, I think
the story was all made up.
It's definitely fair for sure.
It's hard if there's no concrete evidence. Like nowadays, it's hard to go back and find actual evidence of this guy being in all these places, doing all these things. You don't know.
Yeah, I think.
But the problem is the time. It's like if he was in all these things, he had to be. We know the dates of these monumental events in history. To say that this guy was at all of them, the math doesn't add up.
Exactly, but I think that what is interesting is like the 2 for me that stuck out. The 2 most reliable is that one documents is that he was arrested 1742 or 1745. And the other one is like there's a record of his death because of the auction of his stuff.
Yeah.
So I think those are the only reliable things there.
He might have been like a servant like to the king or something, in the court.
Yeah.
And he was like, the king was like, oh, this stuff's going on here. Oh, this stuff. And he was like kind of like an intermediary of like, oh, I went and checked it out. This was what happened. Like it might have been one of those like simply things. Sure. That's why he died kind of with nothing.
Yeah.
Because he was just like a gopher guy.
Possible.
And he also, or he was in charge of that, like in charge of international affairs, and he sent out his agents. I don't know. I think it's embellished story. There probably was a guy. The story is embellished, and that's it.
Yeah.
And we giving it too much credence in today's society. But Jordan, thank you for bringing me along this ride of Saint Germain.
Thanks for those who stuck around past year.
And being this is episode 52, we had someone make a comment. I'm going to mention that. It's this person who commented he was 100th subscriber.
Yeah, so I want to shout out two people here. We got Headspace Creations. But I'm a 100 subscriber. What did I win? I've stuck around for a while. Looking to see some improvements. Not too shabby. So thank you, Headspace Creations. 100 subscriber. That's awesome.
And I want you to write a comment if you actually heard this.
And another one I wanted to give a shout out to was user WC79 or WC7NS4MU9V.
Tell me nothing.
He says, I'm a wake guy here in Canada in Saskatchewan small town. Anyways, my girlfriend is from Africa, Togo. You guys should do something. Some lost cities in Africa. So we've been asking people to give us some ideas. We definitely will look into that. So.
Yeah, that's why I started looking into Congo and stuff. Yeah. And I found just like the history of Congo is pretty sad and a lot of stuff going on there.
It's rough, yeah.
It didn't get to I actually kind of got lost in like political intrigue of what's going on there, like political strife, and didn't really get a chance to look up the actual mystery stuff.
Yeah, there's a huge history in Africa. So I think I like that he suggested that because I think there's a lot we can pull from.
Yeah.
Maybe cool. So thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you, everybody out there who listened. If you are listening to us, please give us a follow. If you are watching us on YouTube, give us a subscribe, give us a follow, leave us a comment. You can see us on YouTube. You can listen to us on any podcast platform. You can send us an email at mysteriouspausonline@gmail.com. You can go to mysteriousPals.com to find links to all of our social media like Instagram, Facebook, all that. So please take the time to reach out, connect with us. Jordan, thank you for being here this week.
Thanks for this past year, Chris.
Yeah, thanks for the past 52 episodes of life and love and loss.
Yeah, the loss of a friendship.
Yeah. We will be back next week with another mystery, and it is a true crime mystery that's been ruining my life for the last 2 weeks. So, because it's been like too much information.
Did you commit the crime? Is that why?
No, it's been wrapped up in it because it's like, it drives me crazy.
Like a rabbit hole?
Yeah, yeah. So,
all right.
So please tune in next week, and we will see you next time. Same mysterious time, same mysterious place, same mysterious house. Good night.
Bye.